is to the printing press, to the recorder of man's deeds, the keeper of his conscience, the courier of his news, that we look for strength and assistance. Without debate, without criticism, no administration and no country can succeed, and no republic can survive. Fight for what's right. Fight for your life.
All right, welcome to the Patriot Hour for Tuesday morning, September 3rd, 2019. So, it's kind of the official closing of summer. All the typically for my area here, Memorial Day kicks it off, pools open, and then Labor Day is everything shutting down, all the public beaches and pools and whatnot. So summer is over. Why or how quick did it go? All right, folks, we are here Tuesday morning with our Truth Talk, some news, headlines, what's going on. We're just getting out of the weekend. We're going to have Ben joining us here. Again, I'd like to let you know again, if you're new to this channel over here, the Patriot Tech, most of you here probably got alerted. That means you're subscribed. But if you're not, if you're just stumbling across and you're into truth, into all that, please subscribe over here. That way you can get all the alerts from when we go live or anything else. Okay, I see Ben is ready. We're going to go ahead and get him in here. There we go. All right.
Yes, sir. Brother? Good morning to all these awesome Patriots. Mike, how you doing this morning, brother?
Good. It's a great day. We're looking at some rain here in the Midwest. Looks like a couple different storm systems coming in throughout the day. I see Randy Robbins, Watchful Warrior. Good morning. Good morning, Greg and Randy.
Q.
A couple of the mods holding it down. I know it's early. Early bird gets the worm. We said we're going to try to do this, so we're going to be doing this pretty much 4 to 5 days out of the week.
Yeah, we're going to be trying to, and we were even talking about possibly even going even earlier. Here's the thing: it's like I know that we're East Coast time here. I know that Central Mountain, West Coast. Depending on how early you guys get up, I do know there's a lot of cats who are subscribed to the Patriot Hour and this backup channel, Patriot Tech, that they're already on the road by 3-4 o'clock in the morning, driving, doing stuff in Cali and Texas and these areas. So I think it's going to be a really nice, getting a good early morning show out too. And we were also talking in Garage Talk. We can also get breaking news that was breaking, like we're talking 1, 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, all over. So that's something I was kind of excited about. But hey, yeah, like our commander in chief, promises made, promises kept.
That's right. So we I'm gonna look at a few different things here, but trying to think. The storm. I got some updates right down below. So it moved dangerously close to Florida after battering the Bahamas. So I guess
big time.
Yeah, it hit the Bahamas square on the head.
And even now, you even have it to where we're talking an estimated up to $25 billion worth of damage. I mean, crazy stuff. So it's definitely creating havoc. And even the tip of Florida, they had counties where there was an emergency and preparation. Some were possibly evacuating, and then in a matter of a few hours, boom, changed course. Now it's going to go the breadth of the East Coast. So we're always keeping an eye on that storm. It's crazy. Things are happening. And, of course, we're going to be getting the after effects not only through the eastern seaboard with this major hurricane, but, of course, coming into middle America and more west. It's just going to be crazy weather for everybody. So
we want to see we want to see if we can verify this. Hold on here.
Yes.
All right, read that. Read the line from the very top up there.
Former Japanese Prime Ministers Yanku Kazumi and Yashiro Nakasun were taken were taken last week by U.S. military police to Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. Japanese police and underworld source both say a person at Kazumi's office, when asked if this is true, said, "There is nobody here. My job is just to answer the phone. Even PR people were unavailable," she said. Time of writing this report, the head of the intelligence from the cabinet of the Japanese slave Prime Minister Shinzo Abe failed to respond to queries about these arrests. The arrests are part of a major crackdown on people related to the Bush family, a Japanese right-wing source said. Whoa!
The arrests, if they took place, are long overdue. Kazumi is a murderer. He likes to strangle geishas.
Geishas. Those are like, those are basically ladies of the night
Yes.
in
Geishas.
Japan.
That's their hooker's name over in Japan, who handed over control of Japanese corporations to Zionists. Nakason overruled Japan's health and welfare ministry to allow carcinogenic and hormone disrupting chemicals to be put into common Japanese foodstuffs and other products. Hopefully they are now squilling on their Satan-worshipping bosses. In any case, these developments, if true and not a disinformation trap, are just one of many signs that the world events are heading for some sort of major showdown. This month at the U.S. corporate government's September 30th international payments deadline looms with funding yet to be secured. Multiple sources agree. I was on a call with the U.S. last night. It certainly sounds like they are in the death throes, cornered and fighting very hard. Dangerous times, a British royal confirmed. So corporate news stories about the U.S. trying to cash ancient imperial Chinese government bonds also points to some desperate moves by U.S. corporate governments to secure financing. So let's take a look here.
Now this is interesting. Ancient imperial Chinese bond. This is when they were still an empire and they were doing business with the. We're talking like just after the 13 colonies and we declared independence.
Yeah.
Well, one of the first things we did. This is clearly. We've talked about this as avid constitutionalists. It's very clearly how it states that little 10-mile by 10-mile square piece of land that they call the District of Columbia was to do foreign business for the government, not rule the people, right?
Yes.
And so they have a lot of these, we were doing business with the Tsar of Russia and the Emperor of Japan. I mean, this is way before that. So it's interesting. We still have like these old IOUs that are technically still valid.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Here, read a little bit of this article that they link to, and then we'll get back to that article. Hold on, let me get your mic on. There you go.
Booyah. Long shot bet on ancient Chinese bonds could pay off thanks to trade war. So President Donald Trump next move is an increasingly fraught trade war with China. Could be one for the history books. Literally. The Trump administration has been studying the unlikely prospect of reviving century-old claims on Chinese bonds.
That ad came somewhere.
Funding of the Communist People's Republic. The defaulted China bonds can be found in the attics and the basements of thousands of Americans or on eBay, where their certificates sell as collectibles for as little as a few $100s each. The PRC, which succeeded the Republic of China after it replaced the Imperial Dynasty, had never recognized the debt, though it hasn't stopped decades of attempts to collect payment on it. Now with Trump ratcheting up the trade rhetoric with China, holders of the antiquarian bonds are hoping he'll press their case, even as others parts of the U.S. government are accusing people of fraudulently selling the same paper. Wow.
So let me, perhaps the only thing more peculiar than the story of Chinese debt and unlikely bid to seek payment on it is the cast of characters drawn into its orbit. President Trump, U.S. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin, and U.S. Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross have met with bondholders and their representatives. Kibjorn Caldwell, pastor of Texas megachurch and spiritual advisor to George W. Bush, has been charged by the U.S. Secretary's regulator for selling the debt to elderly retirees. Caldwell has been innocent and maintains that the bonds are legitimate. With President Trump, it's a whole new ballgame, says Jonah Bianco, a Texas cattle rancher who leads a group representing pre-revolutionary China bondholders and who has met with the president. He's an American first person. God bless him. The Hong Kong Railway bond is a thing of beauty, printed with an ornate border and carrying a large chop. The debt was sold in 1911 to help fund construction of a rail line stretching from Hanako to Sichuan. The U.S. once referred to the money that flowed in China at the turn of the 20th century as a dollar diplomacy, a way of building relations with the country and its massive untapped market by helping it industrialize. The Chinese have another term for it. For them, it fits squarely into China's 100 years of humiliation when the Middle Kingdom was forced to agree to unfair foreign control. The story goes on and on and on and on and on and on.
So basically, in a nutshell, what this is telling you is that after 1776, when we became the United States of America, right, and we started helping other nations. Now, this was in the late 1800s, early 1900s, 1911, right?
Yes.
So what we started doing was just like, now this is where tariffs come into play, people. What we started to do is we started buying other countries, if I can call them, their treasury bonds for their government. We were basically not propping up, but we were helping this government get back on their feet, right? They were going to build, and they were taking loans for doing civil acts, building roadways, building railroads,
infrastructure,
bridges,
folks. Literal infrastructure
So
within inside of the country's boundaries.
And so we were buying literally, it's almost like if their government was an IPO, right? An initial public offering, and say, I want to get forward, I got so many things. So we were helping buying these bonds. Now, those bonds have a contract, like you will offer so much of the Chinese, blah, 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 or the Japanese this, right? And as the governments change, like the USSR is now the Russia, not the Soviet Union anymore. Yeah. And so the new regime are not honoring these old ones, and what's happening is by maritime law or law of the water or law of the sea, any contract that was written by maritime law has no expiration date. That means there's no those are 7 years for misdemeanor, then they can't get you because there's been too much time has passed. So these contracts from one country to another, because it's basically our patch of soil is having an agreement with another patch of soil. So it's pretty interesting. I really hope.
All right, we'll get back to this article. We got new people that have joined in. I would say in a nutshell so far, what we've read up here, it was talking about the Bush family. That article wasn't it? The article we just jumped into.
Yeah, well, the Bush, and these people are coming out. Now, another thing that caught my eye, by the way, and this was a little thing about the food and some of the chemicals they were trying to push on the Japanese public. That was interesting as well. I think it was up a little bit higher up in the article. It talks about some of the they were.
You guys can click on that full article. That was a really long one. This basically, before we jumped into that article, it says corporate news stories about U.S. trying to cash ancient imperial Chinese government bonds also point to some desperate moves by U.S. corporate government to secure some financing. So we jumped into that article, and that here's an MSN. So we know it's an MSN story. Mainstream. Financing some investing, long shot bet on ancient Chinese bonds could pay off thanks to trade war. So then, of course, there is a highly visible U.S.-China trade war going on. We all know about that, with both sides slapping tariffs on at the utmost entire range of a bilateral trade, as it is being widely reported. A study by J.P. Morgan, that's Chase, found that Trump's tariffs will cost the average U.S. household $1,000 a year. That study was done before Trump raised the September 1st and 15 tariffs to 15 from 10. The Associated Press reports. Boom, another little JP Morgan press reporting thing on what was just said there. So we'll kind of not go into those links. Now, what the Associated Press fails to mention is that the tariffs are in reality aimed at paying off U.S. debt. The stakes are extremely high. If the U.S. lost the ability to borrow, U.S. per capita income of $66,900 would be slashed to a negative $4,857, according to calculations by Bloomberg News.
Think about that. That's you made $100,000 a year, and that's what your income is. That gets slashed to 10,000.
Yeah. Go ahead and read some of this.
What
there.
Bloomberg fails to mention as well is the U.S. still has the strongest military in the world. So nobody's about to enter the country and force Americans into debtor prisons. The only people who need to worry are the corporate owners of the U.S., not the American people. The only thing that is going to happen to the American people if their corporate overlords go bankrupt is that they will be freed from debt slavery. Hallelujah. Of course, the corporate overlords are working overtime to convince people that this is a battle between communist China and a democratic U.S., when in reality, the people of the world do not want either an American fascist nor a Chinese communist masters. Pentagon sources, for their part, are now saying that in effect, a massive pogrom against, and of course, there's a full report we can go into down below. So this is
it's available.
This is
Thursday.
not only switching the
So
Thursday.
all
right.
We'll check back in with that article for sure.
For sure. This is this is just crazy.
Yeah, that's
everything from deception to working with the Bush family, and this is why tariffs are so incredibly important, not taxes. We want, here's the thing. Our U.S. corporate government has failed before. I believe it was in 1971, 74, when China wanted their debt to be redeemed in gold. They were going for and they were like, well, yeah, that's why we had to go off the gold standard. The U.S. government had to be bankrupt. And that's why we got the gold standard, right? Because China was wanting to cash in all of their debt that they've bought from us and cash in the way of gold. So what was it Reagan? One of the two, one of those guys in the area, declared bankruptcy, right? So we couldn't borrow, and switched got us off gold. So if you think, I want our government to be bankrupt our government.
Well, when we went off the gold standard, we technically, we know we got it all bought back at the end of the Depression by what was it, the Gold Act? They called it an act, or the Gold Reconfiscation Act, or whatever. The gold, but technically, and then under Nixon or something, I think it was under Nixon that they signed the final, off all of precious metal standard. We weren't silver,
we
gold.
Declared bankruptcy, and we're no longer on. And we are on now.
But we had no held any gold. Anyway, since the 30s or some shit. I mean, who knows, folks? That's just what they tell us. That's what's reported. That's what's coming out of these past presidents' mouths. And it's not like those are, to be, that's truth. Now, we were talking about that. What was this heroic act we saw down at the border over the weekend with the human smugglers? So
switching gears up a little bit.
Most sick act, folks. Truly sick.
So we, we always like to highlight how our ICE, our Border Patrol, all of our good public servants protecting and serving. We like to highlight if there's anything super awesome that they go way above and beyond. And sometime on Saturday, there was an illegals crossing. I believe it was the Rio Grande area in a pretty harsh part. And they have what they call coyotes, or people who basically drive these people, and they're the ones who transport them back and forth and blah, blah, blah. Well, they were in the process of coming across the bridge or something of this nature. One of the coyotes, or the guys that was transporting these illegal aliens, saw the Border Patrol coming. He fled and threw them in the river. Literally, the article says, throws them in the river. Their Border Patrol shows up because they were inbound. They were there. You can see them. They saw these two illegal immigrants literally drowning, and those guys, Border Patrol agents, heroically dove in there, saved them. Now, Mike and I were talking. It's like, Well, were they on the American side of the river or still floating on the South American side of the river? Either way, these two Border Patrol agents risked their lives to save a human life, period. Now, they'll help them back to the country they came from, but this is just another awesome highlighting. I think it was on DC Dirty Laundry. We pulled that up on one of their main articles. But just an awesome thing that our Border Patrol is doing. Those guys and gals work so incredibly hard. And it just felt good to hear that story. It's like, wow, they saved him from drowning when the people that they're trying to help him get across throws him in the river.
Yeah, so it was earlier this week, a young father and her baby girl drowned while crossing the Rio Grande, and leftists jumped all over the story about somebody drowning. But another story that they're not commenting on is this one of them saving a drowning child, and it's been conveniently blacked out like anything else that's great that you should report on, you know. They jump all over the story of people drowning so they can use a narrative of like, it's dangerous, we need to build bridges down there for them and give them boats so they can get over safely. Well, the actual agents are doing their job and just cruising down and see spot a van, like Ben said, and then the guy that was bringing them to get paid, he's like, oh, you're here, chucks them into the water, and then they start drowning.
Hightails it out of there. So now the Border Patrol agents got to think quick, do I go apprehend this guy, or do I save a couple lives? Yeah, it's kind of a no-brainer if you're going to do the right thing. So yeah, it's unbelievable. Now, yes, they were illegal immigrants, folks. So earlier this week, a young father and their baby girl drowned crossing the Rio Grande to get to America. They were illegal. The left blamed President Trump for those tragic deaths. Okay? That's how it works. The left believes open borders will fix this. Of course, the left will never show the photos of the illegal aliens rescued by U.S. Border Patrol agents. This does not fit their narrative. On Thursday, the U.S. Border Patrol posted video of agents rescuing a 3-year-old illegal alien who nearly drowned in the river. The agents pulled the child from the river and began giving the child CPR and rescued him. So the media will report about the victims who drowned, but not about those who were saved by the very same Border Patrol. You know, not maybe the same people, but the same U.S. Border Patrol. Yeah. So that's a shocker, right? Let's turn it over to Next News Network's Gary Franchi, so he can call in or fill in all the details. He's got a video that he's actually done. I suggest check it out if you want to see. The video is really just already at the point where they are getting the child onto the boat, and then they start performing. But there is evidence. This isn't just a Snopes or some hearsay. Well, what they said? No, there is a video, and this is actually captured of this happening. And you're not going to get it on the mainstream. You're going to get it here. You're going to get it with where we're digging into this kind of stuff, because it's out there. You just got to read about it. And so, things are happening. People are doing their job. There is still good in this earth, in this world. There is still good people wanting to do good things. And of course, the old Good Samaritan, you see somebody in need, stop and help. And we're always saying that.
Look at this one. Odessa mass shooter failed background check. Was an illegal gun owner, called both FBI and police before shooting. What did he call and tell them? Let's see here. Let's see what this Odessa mass shooter failed background check was really all about. He was an illegal gun owner. Legal. I said illegal. There he goes. Illegal. There was an active shooter in Odessa, Texas on Saturday afternoon. Just in, 2 people died. Now 20 confirmed injured. Let's see this video here. They're shooting.
No.
Wow. So 20 people were injured in the shooting. 7 people were killed. 36-year-old Seth Altor, a resident of Odessa, Texas, was named the assailant on Sunday, nearly 24 hours after the shooting. He opened the fire on state troopers during a traffic stop. Police in Texas just revealed that Odessa shooter had a criminal record, sounding more and more likely that he was in a possession of a gun illegally. A new gun law can't stop a shooter if the shooter is already using a gun illegally. Governor Greg
Truthful.
Abbott
Come on now.
called for keeping weapons out of criminals' hands in a tweet on Monday. He noted Odessa shooter had failed a background check. Not only did the Odessa gun, this is the
Greg
governor.
Abbott, the same guy.
Yeah, he's a governor. Yep. Greg Abbott's the governor of Texas here, folks. So not only did the Odessa gunman have a criminal history, he also previously failed a gun purchase background check in Texas, and he didn't go through a background check for the gun he used in Odessa. We must keep guns out of criminals' hands. Seth Altor's neighbor said he was an aggressive and violent. Revealed he's dead. Neighbor of Seth Altor gives insight into the Odessa shooter. So,
this is when you try to confiscate guns from law-abiding people, it doesn't do anything for those people who get their guns illegally. This is why it's like we already have laws in the book to, he already failed a background check. He couldn't get a gun the legal way, so what did he do? He became a criminal.
It's just like the no shooting areas. You got the no shooting areas. People go there all the time with the illegal gun. They've broken all kinds of laws. Like at the time they finally go to shoot, they're breaking like the 16th law that day or something.
Oh yeah, they're deep in the felony law breaking.
So none of that matters to these people.
No. I mean, if there was no firearms in America, period, we'd be covering stories of beheadings and them using
baseball bat
hammers
onto a schoolyard, and the baseball bat was like, well, the kid didn't even bring it. He went to the gym class and got it out of their locker thing for baseball.
Got it illegally from his dad's baseball stash.
So, I mean, now people argue, well, at least he can't get that many with a baseball bat. It's like he's got to go 1 for 1. And it's like, well, same with a gun, but yeah, they're just spraying with these extra large mags.
I'll tell you what, man, I didn't get myself an old shepherd sling and carry me some smooth stones and start to do a slingshot, because those are pretty deadly. Pretty deadly.
So Hurricane Dorian is the strongest storm ever to threaten Florida's east coast. It batters the Bahamas. It's pretty wild, folks. I guess it's taken a little turn, though. So Florida's now just kind of under tropical conditions, which can bring lots of rain and all that good stuff that you guys don't want.
Oh,
did you guys all hear about the ship sinking with 32 passengers locked in the vessel? The escape hatch was locked. Spirit in the Sky Star. No, I didn't hear about that. The crew all escaped, but not the passengers.
Interesting. Isn't the crew's job? That's like ship's crew. That's their first obligation is the safety of the passengers.
Yeah, did the captain get off now? He should be charged.
Was the captain the first one off or the last one? I mean,
oh.
That's interesting. Oh my gosh, if that's the case, man, I mean,
I don't know. I don't see.
That's interesting. I mean, you hope to. Honestly, you'd rather, not to be morbid, but you'd rather have the crew go down with the ship and all the passengers go free, because, that's part of the duties when you're out at sea, and there's hazards on land and at sea. But I hope that. I hope that was a typo, and the crew. Some of the crew got killed.
This sounds like a really old story. Did locked gates prevent third-class passengers from escaping? I keep seeing stories from 2012, so it looks like they're just talking about something a little older.
John Anon, I would have to agree with
9
you.
years ago.
Another Titanic situation.
It's just
That's what they talked about is the third class, actually fourth class passengers, and probably not even that were in the keel or the lowest part of the ship. Those are the all the immigrants and the Irish and the all these people who couldn't get to first class, and they're going over there. They were in the very bowels of the ship, if you will, and
yeah.
according to the mainstream history of how the Titanic, supposedly got cut open by an iceberg and it sank, due to natural reasons. A lot of the people in the underbelly of the ship, lower class, they did die. Narrative that, but man. Anyways, let's see what we got here.
Now I did a video over this last night, but we'll it looks like it was updated maybe 9 minutes ago. I don't know, 9 minutes ago. Just got a lot of people, so I want to address this. A lot of people in the comments lately on some of the videos like, we love your channel, we think you got a really good cause, but man, we just don't think anything's going to happen. People are at that point now with
same old. We keep on hearing the same. We're all next week. It's the next mountaintop, just the next hill.
There's
we're going to see it.
I mean, we do know people have been fired, people have been removed. That's different from in the past. I mean, I find it funny that these same players have been involved for 30 years. Some of them, Clintons, Bushes. I mean, some of these other people like Comey's, 8 years, 9 years. You look at even like Jeff Sessions on the Republic. You look back in 1996 or 93, he was the head of the FBI, and Clinton fired him, and then he didn't go away. He just goes on to other jobs, and then he comes back full force. 15, 20 years later, comes back into another realm of something, and it's just. But those people have been the ones around. Nothing has gotten better. We've gone tit for tat with the economy. We've had financial collapses in 2008, and you can blame the Bush Republican or the Obama who just got in, and blase. Trump's been in 2 years, a little over 2 years, 2.5, going on 3, whatever. But he's to blame for all the world's problems, Ben, for the last 30 years. I mean, that's what the...
Well, he is a Nazi, so we got to be careful. Plus, he's either in
give
bed
him your
with
gun.
the
Either if you give him
Zionist
your gun,
and he's a Nazi.
He's Hitler.
I don't know.
Stalin. Mao. So anyway, this article, and I get it, folks. I mean, and it's just like people are like, just like with Epstein, They're like using him as an example. I'm like, oh my God. The guy was operating a huge island, pedophile salesman of sorts. Had all the people lined up. It was a pedophile
sanctuary.
Yeah, it was a pedophile, sanctuary for haven for all the other pedophiles to come and like shop. I mean, it's done. Is that not justice alone? Just the guy went to jail, and the narrative, the mainstream, he died. He hung. Well, I needed a judge to tell me that he needed to be hung. He wouldn't even got the hang because that's not allowed anymore. So he actually got an obscure. I'm not, well, he did it himself. So we needed somebody to put the rope around his neck and then push him off open the trapdoors. That would have been okay. I get it. That justice. I'm not saying this was some kind of great justice. But the guy's not operating. Honestly, in their 50% of the story, he's not operating that island anymore. He's not able to go on. That's great for me. There's other things I wanted to happen. There's lots of other people that need to be held accountable. I get it. But people are acting like this isn't good enough. That at least we created such noise around Epstein that he got caught. He went to jail. The injustices from 2008 or whatever were kind of coming back on him. And the guy goes into jail. And whether he would have got life in jail or he would have got some kind of death sentence, we never would have heard from him again. Even if he was doing life in jail and solitary, we wouldn't have heard from him. So it wouldn't have really mattered. So,
well, we talked about this. What was the most, even besides justice, what was the most important thing with this whole Epstein debacle, crazy discovery? The information, the knowledge. And before he either supposedly killed himself, got killed, or faked his death somewhere else, whatever,
protection.
We had all of his servers, all of the the data that was on his intranet on the island. We have flight logs. We have all this data, all these people. And there has been little blips Not much that the president said, that Barr has said, and the fact of, well, he's got associates. Who? What does that mean? Well,
maybe
justice
like we
was
said, we can
served,
go
people.
into these
We have
stories.
the evidence.
We can say that he, maybe, I mean, why would they put a high class person like that? Why didn't they take him to one of their CIA little holding facilities all over the country?
Yeah, little
something
dark
real
room
secure,
somewhere.
something real good. I mean, you can actually, maybe they did take him out. I don't think that he's getting the good treatment, even if he talked 1,000,000%, folks, that gave everything. I'll give you everything, but I don't want to do a day in jail. All right, no, you're fine. We'll let you go. We'll give you witness protection. You'll have a nice new house and a family. No, I mean, I would think that
We'll
the
put you
best
out
they
the
can
yard.
give him, the best they can give him is like, we'll get you into one of our holding tanks in Gitmo or CIA holding facilities somewhere here that's being ran by
probably gonna
good
get
people
shivved
now.
in the dark because people don't like rapists and child molesters.
That's what I'm saying.
That's like
even if they
prison
took him to a
justice.
whole nother federal prison under the guise of with a knapsack over his head, and they just got him into a confinement cell, and they only have like one well-trusted couple of guards that are rotating off and on of them, and nobody else in this facility is allowed in this corridor. We gotta. Well, who is it? We don't. Nobody knows because they brought him in with a bag. So even the people there, they're speculating it could be Epstein, but they don't know. And maybe he
Could be
isn't
Santa
dead.
Claus.
He could be working
know.
with them to only get. His in turn is going to get a life sentence to be able to live and breathe there every day for the next 50 years behind his cell. There's no chance of him walking unless there's some bigger picture that he was of intelligence and put out there 15 years ago only to go around and collect all this stuff on people. But he's got charges himself. People are coming out against him. So there's no way that he can just be squeaky clean. He's got kids coming out against him. Kids have come out
Remember
against
this.
him. At the time they were
The
kids.
mainstream, most people only know about this because the mainstream had no choice. They had to say something because there was a public charges. And if they didn't have public charges on Epstein like last time and it was kind of brushed under, news wouldn't cover it. It wouldn't be on TV. Most of our masses would have no idea.
It's funny. Danielle Yelly sent me a link in email or whatever, the messenger thing, about and she goes, I got bored and I was digging, and she being in Florida, she dug into the Florida's court system case where you could put a name, found all this Epstein stuff, all these things that were getting ready to go to trial or whatnot that were being filed. So of course all that's closed or done now because he's dead, but it's interesting, folks. You made a good point there about his. So a lot of people following along never would even. A lot of people on the social medias a month ago like, I ain't never even heard of this Epstein guy. So, and I would say some new people or just people that are new to the getting real information have been on this channel and heard Epstein. We brought it up, or even a year ago we had videos on Epstein in this island.
Well, we were talking about he's something of the Clinton Foundation. So he's
some
been
people
brought
that are
like-
new, you hear this name Epstein, you're like, oh, wow, who was this? And then you get told that he's a pedophile, he's a billionaire, he runs an island, there's a bunch of people that play, and you're like, whoa, you're getting awoke. And then all of a sudden you hear that from the Q and the pictures of the his structure, his temple on top of that island, and what maybe goes on underneath or inside or around it or something, and your mind's blown. And then all of a sudden you see these charges coming in, and you hear about these injustices in '08, how he had 40 people, they only listened to one of them. The government refused to press charges, and he got the good life and went to jail 6 days a week or 7 days a week, but got to leave 6 days a week and only come
Martha
and sleep
Stewart,
on
even
Sundays.
better than her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Comey has done more crimes, but Comey charged Martha Stewart and made her go down for what? Lying. He's done the same thing. The guy still don't think he lied. He has that issue in his own head that he didn't lie, and he doesn't see it that way. And he's got to convince everyone else in the room too.
Yeah, these
And
are the
it's like,
truths
whoa.
that I see. In my
I
bubble
hold
of
self-evident
reality.
to myself that apply to me, but not to you. I see them differently when you would do the same thing, but when I do it, it's different.
You understand?
Whoa. Do you get me? No, sir. You need to be behind the bars and tell me that again. No, maybe hear you better. So, folks, it is wild, but the main gifs of this is you never would have heard of Epstein, some of you. Q brought it up. We go over these photos a year after all this stuff, and you first hear of him, and then he's going down, and then all of a sudden he dies. He's no longer a player, but now all of a sudden people are like, no justice. This is bullcrap. Well, it's like I see justice where Comey's no longer being able to play, McCabe's no longer being able to play and create. I mean, if you look at, we went over the Oklahoma City.
No Names is
No
gone.
Names gone. But you look at Oklahoma City and you look at Ruby Ridge and you look at Waco.
Yes.
You see that there was the same player, the same guy, the
Same
major, they call him, for
orchestrating.
the FBI, that main guy that McVeigh names, Larry Potts. Yeah, where you at,
There
Larry?
it is.
Same name. Involved in 4 to 5 crazy conspiracy, the nasty, government corruption,
Loss
type
of
things.
life on a large
Yeah.
scale type operations.
Where it's always these people were religious nuts and they had a whole bunch of stockpiles of guns and they were like,
And you're like, okay, you just named off a couple of our constitutional and God-given rights of the land. Okay, so what's the problem here? Well, they were real religiously fanatic. Okay, and they had lots of guns. Okay,
yeah, every
I'm
one of
still
them
not-
sons of bitches involved with like the Ruby Ridge or something. They sniped a
Oh.
7-year-old kid in the head right in front of the folks. I
Yep.
mean, of course you'd go mad. I mean, they were listening in over at Waco. They had like the first thing they did is poke holes in the house and shove in microphones, and then he's in there telling everyone like next thing you know, folks, you're gonna see tanks rolling up on us, and then they're out there like, he said tanks. Can we get tanks? Let's get tanks. We'll play into his little fear.
Yeah, we got two.
So when
Third
two
one's
rolled
coming.
up,
Cool.
he was like, "Oh my God, here it is! It's coming!" And everyone else took it to be like, "He is right. Our guy is able to tell us things." But he was just saying like, "Next, we're gonna have tanks up here." He said, "Tanks. Let's get tanks." And by God, I mean they played into the whole thing that he was saying in there. Next, we're gonna be shooting at us. We'll shoot at them now.
Somehow a fire started, and they say that they started on the inside.
They actually even go as far as documentaries I've seen that they had people on the back side of the house, like this army. They actually had military, they're saying, that was never supposed to be there because we're not allowed to be on our own soil. But if you watch that footage of that FLIR helicopter had the imaging on it, and you see 2 people roll out of that tank. As a tank comes up on the back side of the house to ram it, 2 bodies came out of the trap door inside of the tank, lay on the ground, and as the tank keeps rolling forward, you can see their bodies exposed, these heat pieces, and they both roll. The minute the tank gets by them, they both roll outward to be where the tracks would be on each side, the left and right side. So they did the rolling.
Classic,
see it, dude. Now, that's a
classic
military
camouflage
maneuver.
That's
101.
That's classic. That's like
101.
Yeah, you come out the back end. That's like, you don't even say that easy.
So you know then what those guys did? They
Military
both
movement.
leaned outside of each track line. After they rolled out, they both took a few shots through the back of the house that came out front to where all the journalists were and all the police.
They're
And then
shooting at us.
They're shooting at us. That's how that went down. So they weren't.
you
They were
guys,
never
this-
going to shoot. So they had to make it look like they shot, so they can get the people there. Like, oh my God, the religious nutcases are shooting.
And Mike and I have critically diagnosed and went to the nth degree on so many other
Yes, then they
crazy
burned them
false
to death.
flags.
Somebody's like, they burned it. Somebody was like, then they burned to death. Yeah, they burned them after the fact.
So-
They lit the house on fire. Yes.
And if this last article we just covered, where these people are exposing their satanic worshiping bosses, what do you think is happening? Like, let's say at Waco, that's a nice burning sacrifice of all these people who were God fearing or whatever. It's like there's so much happening, and this is another reason why Mike and I like to highlight things like the Border Patrol saving lives, doing the godly right thing, because false flags are happening. And I will say this, man, I will say keep on preparing for more false flags, because we're seeing an uptick on mass shootings, and it's in certain states like Texas that they don't. It's the states that honor the First, Second, and Fourth above all amendments. You're talking freedom of the press, freedom of speech. You're talking the right to bear arms, to overthrow a government who becomes too tyrannical, and the right to private property and protection. And you don't not have to be worried about search and seizure of your personal effects and papers. That's huge.
All right, so we're not going to read. I got a video on this. We're actually going to take a small break, and you guys can watch the 7-minute video, and then we'll come back and we'll discuss this article. But basically, Republican lawmaker makes ominous prediction about the IG Horowitz FISA abuse report that is now They're saying due out in mid-September. So Republican Judiciary Committee member Andy Biggs out of Arizona predicted on Sunday an investigation probing potential abuses of the FISA, Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, will end with indictments. I participate that we're going to see some very stark revelations of manipulation of the whole system for political purposes. When you see things that happen, that's when I think you're going to, when you see that things happen, that you're going to see the referral for massive indictments, folks. Biggs claimed that the report would uncover essentially a coup attempt against President Trump. This investigation, led by the Department of Justice Inspector General Michael Horowitz, has concluded. So it's finally concluded. I didn't know that. I don't know if Ben knew that either until I read this yesterday. But I was like, hell yeah.
This is
But they're saying that it won't probably. I don't have to click this and read more. Maybe let me see here, because I know I read more. Okay, yeah, it came off officially the Blaze, so they were linked to the Blaze. But if I click read more here.
I mean, we've heard the word, and essentially we've heard the word coup, but we don't really have, like, what do you mean a coup? We know what a coup d'état. Okay, we've heard that story, but most people don't really speak French that I know of, and so it's like, oh well, the military or another person overthrows our government and goes in there by force and takes over and kills everybody in Congress. And I think, with we've that like Red Dawn. Things like this, we've seen that kind of stuff before, but we've never seen behind the scenes. You're talking,
and this
CIA,
is like a covert takeover
coup, yeah.
Because you couldn't, they weren't just going to come out outright and do it like that, like sword fight and get them like, all right, now I'm in charge. It was more of one coup. Yeah, and they had a lot of crimes, folks. I mean, we were saying it before that. Like, we would think in the past, like, when you're taking over something, you do it real. Gotta make sure I clean up all my little messes. But it got to be so evil with the Joe M's videos, the last 5 presidents we had, Clinton, Bush, Obama, they were all part of it. So they were all running amok. Evil was everywhere. They almost and I think under Obama it just got so bad they left nasty digital trails. They thought they didn't care because Hillary was in next. And they could just be covered, and it's always going to be covered.
Gravy train. Mm-hmm.
One bad, you're turning off the torch, you're handing over the torch to the next person that's your evil brother, evil companion. It's part of your brotherhood, so it doesn't really matter. And as long as you stay in control, your evil can be covered up and locked away in drawers and under the veil of secrecy. And put a 2092 on that and release it then. I still can't figure out for the life of me why they. And it seems like every bad person, even in our local Legion type thing, the paper trails are there. Why don't they just get rid of the paper trail so it's like nobody can find it, and then they can ask you? And it's like, no, that would be the ultimate evil thing and be way suspicious. It's like criminals overthink it. It's like, well, you got a piece of paper there that says that the money's gone, but you're taking the money. That's the evil act. Why don't you just get rid of that too? Well, that would be real suspicious if I just burned that whole thing. I mean, I don't get it, so... But all right, check this video out. I think it's about 6-7 minutes, folks. We'll be back. We'll take a small break, watch this with you. And again, I made this. It was on the other channel. You might have seen it, but again, it's just a nice little refresher.
It's pretty powerful. Yes, it does. It gets on it. It's good information.
And there's a little video that this article I was reading has, and it's like a 4-minute that this guy breaks it down. So check this out, and then we'll come back and talk a little more about it. lawmaker makes ominous prediction about the IG Horowitz FISA abuse report. Essentially, it was a coup attempt, he said. Republican Judiciary Committee member Representative Andy Biggs from Arizona predicted Sunday an investigation probing potential abuses of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act will end with tons of indictments. I anticipate that we're going to see some very stark revelations of manipulations of the whole system for political purpose, Biggs said on Fox News. When you see that happen, that's when I think you're going to see reference of referrals for indictments. And I think you're actually going to see some indictments. Biggs claimed the report would uncover essentially a coup attempt against President Donald J. Trump. The investigation led by Justice Department Inspector General Michael Horowitz has concluded now. The inquiry focused on potential FISA abuses related to the government obtaining a surveillance warrant on Trump campaign associate Carter Page and probed the DOJ's overall handling of the Russia investigation. Biggs said he expects Horowitz's report will be finalized by mid-September now, with all the pushbacks and final 11th hour testimonies. With regard to another investigation that was going on, the inquiry into the origins of the Rust investigation that is being led by U.S. Attorney John Durham, Biggs predicted there will be accountability. I think that you're going to see some accountability there, he said, quote. He also said, I hope we see accountability, as what I think we all do. So let's listen in here to this 4-minute interview on Fox News right here.
The DOJ Inspector General releasing a report on James Comey Thursday, finding the former FBI director violated bureau policies in his handling of memos on his private meetings with President Trump. The president's supporters calling it the tip of the iceberg of alleged anti-Trump bias at the FBI as we await 2 more DOJ reports on alleged FISA abuse and the origins of the Russia investigation. Let's bring back Arizona Congressman Andy Biggs. Congressman, let's start there. Your reaction to the Inspector General's findings on James Comey.
Well, I thought it was very interesting because Mr. Comey had been indicating that he was kind of above the fray, but we know actually he was right in the middle of it. He confirmed that he leaked information to a friend to get it to a New York Times reporter because he wanted to manipulate the appointment of a special counsel, which started the whole the whole Mueller investigation, which is basically tried to put a damper on the Trump presidency. And I just felt like when you read it, it was nothing surprising there. It was what we anticipated. But I think Mr. Comey basically is just dodging and weaving, and I don't think he understands fully what he did was even wrong. And that's a real problem, to realize that the very top guy at the FBI does not acknowledge his problems and what he did was wrong. He's defending it, and he feels he should be apologized to. It was actually audacious in many respects.
More reports to come. What are your expectations for Inspector General Michael Horowitz's report on DOJ's handling of the Russia probe, which sounds like could come any day?
Yeah, we anticipate that's going to come probably mid-September, and I anticipate that we're going to see some very stark revelations of manipulation of the whole system for political purposes. And when you see that happen, that's when I think you're going to see references or referrals for indictments, and I think you're going to actually see some indictments. I hope you do, because this is trying to take down a sitting president is absolutely outrageous. It's essentially a coup attempt, and that's what we saw happening here.
Then there's Connecticut federal prosecutor John Durham looking into the origins of the Russia investigation. What are you looking for on that front?
Well, I would anticipate that he's going to find that you're going to have a setup. So all of this goes back to George Papadopoulos, and basically he was set up, and you're going to find that there was nothing there. The Fusion GPS dossier, which is basically a set of memos that were basically just put out for Oppo research, and some of it was just flat out lies, were used to try to infiltrate the Trump campaign and then in turn take down the president shortly after he was elected. And this has been a problem for us for 3 years now, And I just the most outrageous thing you can imagine, and I think that you're going to see some accountability there. I hope we see accountability there.
Then there's the issue of immigration. You're a border state lawmaker. Is there any chance of Congress getting something done on tightening loopholes, addressing some of the roots of the illegal immigration problem?
Well, I would hope so. I would hope that we could at least address some of the asylum issues. I'm not very sanguine about that, and I'll tell you why. We have members of the other side that are actually calling for the abolition of the ICE agency, and ICE is the enforcement arm of the immigration laws. And so, if you're not willing to enforce immigration laws, it speaks to an unwillingness, quite frankly, to change and tighten the immigration laws, and that's a problem I see going forward here.
Congressman Andy Biggs of Arizona, we thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you very much, Mike.
I'm Michael. This is a Patriot Hour. God bless, Godspeed to each and every one of you worldwide. Where we go one, we go all. Folks, so that video is over. We see we got Amy the Mod. Good morning. Thank you for joining. I'm so happy that you can be awake. Just joking. It is early. We got on early, but we got the mods here. We've seen Randy, Robbins, Legacy Truces in the show, in the boards. And we got Amy. We had Watchful Warrior. Thanks all for all Patriots being here. All right, we're going to get back to it. We got a little video we played. We hope you enjoyed it. You might have seen it yesterday on the Patriot Hour, but, you know, it's a good little filler.
It's pretty crazy, man. In the video, I wanted to kind of highlight this point, was they said there's a lot of loopholes in a lot of these procedures, and these people know these loopholes and how, we've said this before in other videos, you can have a grand jury, but they can only see the evidence that they're given and basing their decision on evidence given. And we've seen time and time again where they withheld evidence from the grand jury, and they give these rulings based off of not even what they're even supposed to be ruling on, or the evidence I even have. So we can see it's a sticky business here, that the loopholes, and even talked about looking at George Papadopoulos and getting what he's getting involved with. So it's pretty crazy, you guys. It's pretty crazy.
Well, like you said, I want to just tell the movement, I'm never going to quit fighting for what's right, even if wrong happens time and time again. We know what I believe to be true, and in my investigative times and studies and journalistic research, what's happening when something gets presented and I can see like declassified FOIA requested material, you know, Freedom of Information Act. And I like to look at those kinds of facts. You know, you can listen to the person talk that's being accused or charged, or the other side, and they're going to tell you two different things, but then you get this factual email that they wrote, and they're talking to somebody when they thought they weren't being listened to, and they'll tell you a lot. So we're not making we know that there were FISA abuses and that people should go down. That's what we're hoping for. That's what should happen in a fair justice system under the, equal justice of the law. When it doesn't happen, we're not responsible for that. As much as you're mad or upset, so are we. That's all. I'm not ever going to give up on it. Like, well, I'm done. I'm done with this channel, the Patriot. I'm going to go back to researching New World Order and presenting that it's coming, and just keep shoving that down your throat. No, I'm hoping to shed enough light. That's what we do here at the Patriot Hour on a subject that it gets the attention of the president, that it gets the attention of anyone that can, and it starts rapidly like dominoes. Have we, and the other channels and the other truth movement websites and people, bloggers and whatever, what have you, have we created enough light in any of these situations that have gotten things to come back up and be relevant? And does the president listen? He says he listens to the people. How? Does he talk to them on the phone one by one? How does he listen to people? Only at his rallies? Only when you're in his ear sight? Isn't he a social media buff? Isn't he on Twitter? Isn't he on probably YouTube? We don't know. But we hope that he's listening and that some of these things are, we don't know the game plan 100%, but we will never quit reporting on things that we believe to be true. That's the whole point. So as much as people get discouraged, it's kind of like people are, take this to be like, man, I'm into the truth thing now. And after a year and a half of riding it, I'm out of the truth thing. It's not working out for me. Where do you go? Are you going back to CNN? Are you going back to study the New World Order of the, the chips can be put into your arm? How long have they been saying that? 25 years. Is it here yet? No. Are they wrong? Did you give up on the New World Order? It ain't coming. Who knows?
Well, they haven't given up on you. And
That's right.
This,
You don't have to believe in Satan or God. Some people do. Lots of people do.
We were talking in Garage Talk a couple days ago, which this ties into exactly what you just said. There are people who have hobbies. There are people who like to do things, not all the time, but it makes them happy. The truth movement, even though it's kind of that idea of truth movement, it's a lifestyle. I want to know the truth on what's the speed limit. I want to know the truth on if something happens to my truck, what's going on with that. If my sons come home and they don't show me their work, I like truth, period. Now, my whole life, I've dealt with people saying things and doing something opposite. I've dealt with local people in my local government deceiving and lying and this kind of stuff. Why would I think that the large levels it would be any different? So I can see things happening that have already happened, have already blown my mind, and if it all stopped right now, it would be an amazing movement already. But the problem is most Americans have been conditioned to see shiny things and stop thinking about critical thought. And if you don't keep on digging and keep on looking at it, you're just going to go back to like what Mike said. You're just going to go back looking at the New World Order and blah, 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 and tinfoil hat, and you're never going to go anywhere. It's like in those eddies. So when you go down and when you start seeking the truth or logos, the word, the foundation of truth, your whole life changes. It's like you're a new creation. You have a new desires inside of you. Everything. You want to know the truth about computers. You want to know the truth about this, the truth about that, and you're really about what people tell you. You want to see tangible evidence. And so when you start thinking critically like that on a daily level and start changing your life to that, what's going to happen is when you start seeing, when our commander-in-chief defunds Planned Parenthood, like that's amazing. Never before in the history of Planned Parenthood. You're talking the border, the wall, going back, getting tariffs. All these things are really huge. The problem is most average Americans don't understand how incredibly huge these things have already been. We have to build a solid foundation before we tear down the existing regime. And it's coming down, people. It's coming down hardcore.
I agree. Folks, you can't you got to take, the good with the bad on this. All right. So bad is them ruling everything, being embedded in every system and having control. It's not every person in every little government office. It's, we talk about the rank and file that goes along for the FBI, CIA, NSA, all the other little agencies, the DOJ, the FBI, lots of the 3-letter, but then you can even take that to be in just tons of different little offices all around the government. They're never all bad. They're never all bad people. It only takes a few. We've seen that with everything going on. So when I say take the good with the bad, I'm just simply saying if the person gets demoted, fired, or put out of that position, that's a good. Better than them remaining there and being able to taint future investigations or politically bias. So that now the next thing to be an extra cherry would be them going down for it and then them getting held accountable. All right. So when we talk about Epstein, he went to jail, then he ended up dead. Now you might not buy that, but what capacity do you expect him to be running the island again and setting up shop again? Most likely not. So we're going to take that for what it is and be happy that is done. No more kids can be harmed by that man anyway. So keep that in mind as we move forward. Don't get so discouraged that you don't think that anything is happening because, at least on those levels, I believe it to be.
And, we even said, man, we still have our God-given rights. You still can bear arms. You still can say what you want, report what you want. I mean, we still are in a wonderful, fantastic place right now. We're able to communicate with you guys. I'm able to go out. Mike's able to go out and exercise our Second Amendment. I like driving around in my Fourth Amendment. This is things that we are still celebrating. And no matter whatever happens, Mike and I will always be constitutionalists first. You understand that's what we are about. Not Republicans, not the left, the right, blue, red, whatever, because that's fickle. We are based on our founding documents and our Constitution. And as long as that's still intact and we're given those freedoms, then there's every day is a cause for celebration. And if we can get together in August in 2020 and celebrate the fact that we can still get together and celebrate, like you guys, that's the right to,
Look at this down below. Living in America said, Mike, please look up the microwave imagery of the weird dark line shooting across the tip of Florida, right at the part of Dorian or something. I'll have to look into that.
Dark lines drop, Dorian just stop. Well, we've talked about, we know weather manipulation. We've talked about, we all know about HARP, although it's very ancient, I shouldn't say ancient, it's very archaic technology. I believe they're doing Doppler technology now because there's more Doppler radars across North American and the South American continent than they are high aurora, things. But, it's interesting, if you guys do want to some of you guys who are into the weather stuff, here's a fun deep dive you guys can do. We've done it a while ago. It's a lot of fun. Go on to the NOAA weather. It's the actual North Atlantic.
NOAA.com. NOAA.
Yep. And you can go and you can take the Hurricane Dorian or the latest storm, and you can get thermal imaging of live thermal imaging. It's just in the thermal imaging, and you can see. And by the way, also pinpoint the Doppler radar stations where that track is, and you can see a higher thermal flare coming off the Doppler radars. Because remember, all this technology is just based off of radio frequencies. The more juice you give them and tighten that bandwidth, the more powerful they are. So it's like, this isn't anything new, people. That's why we always say preparation favors victory. Because that this isn't just, Mother Nature doing its thing again every year. This is something a little bit more. And so, yeah. Sharon Rivas, gold guns in my Bible. All right, see? That's what we're talking about. Things like that. And when they start taking that away, then it's time to, then there's a call to action. And the call to action is very specifically laid out in our Constitution. So it wasn't be like my opinion or Mike's opinion or Woodman or Scott or anybody else in the team here. We don't base it off of our sole opinion. We want to have some type of tangible. So like we said, man, whatever happens and coming up, it's going to be a crazy ride, but we still honor our Constitution, and every day is a celebration that we can get together. We can gather in groups of more than 2 and not be thrown in jail because that's illegal in our country. And we're just going to come and celebrate, and if anything, the Patriot Fest with the flag retirement ceremony, I mean, if you don't like America, then why are you still living here? No matter how bad or how good it gets. So we're going to celebrate America, our history, our freedoms we have, because we're the only country on the face of this earth that has freedom of speech, press. I mean, we're the last
those are the
vestige.
tall tale signs to me. As long as I still have my First and Second Amendment, those are, tons of the other ones. Those are the tall, once they start really somehow start coming in for the guns of sorts or speech, then that shit is, about to hit the fan. So keep those in mind, folks, and that's an everyday battle as well. We know that they're always propagating and we just need to turn your gun over. We know that doesn't do anything, because the ones that shouldn't already have the guns, the people that we already got laws in this country where when you get into trouble and you lose your possible right to actually have a firearm, you committed some kind of felony act of violence, you're not going to have a gun because you're prone to go do acts and be stupid, so you can't have your gun already. Boom. Those people still get guns and go do the crimes. So, we just need to get them away from all the law-abiding people. That way the illegal people can't get them so easily. I'm not following you down your dumb idea. Yes, I'm tired of your fantasies and your delusions, and I just can't partake in those games and play with those. I don't have time to play with you. And then the Second Amendment, the one group it tells you to be weary of that might come to get your guns because they wanted to use the government, and then you still sit there and hold these conversations. Like I like to tell people, this isn't even a conversation to hold. I wouldn't hold one in my home with a burglar that's in here with his gun at my steps pointed at me and I got mine drawn on him. There's no chance in hell he's talking me out of my gun. That's equivalent of holding the conversation with the government when they're like, we need to just give us your guns. It's like, why are we even having this conversation? The one thing it tells me to be weary of is you, and here you are. It's kind of like Back to the Future, I don't know, this guy gave me this old world almanac back when I was a teenager. Told me, though, one day an old crazy kooky man might come around asking about it, or a kid. Just never thought it would be you. And he's pulling out his gun, Biff, to shoot old Michael J. Fox.
Yeah. He knew.
So,
Biff was prepared. He knew his future, and he was prepared for it.
So these same people that just happened to write up the Second Amendment knew as well that one day these people might come on knocking. Us in the future, us might come and knocking, and don't do it. And here people are arguing amongst each other about doing it. And it's the best thing for us, and no. So the one group you should never have that conversation with somehow have managed to be the ones holding the conversation. All right, keep that in mind, folks. Good morning to everybody. We're going to go ahead and shut this one down. We've done awesome for our first day. We're almost at an hour and a half. Again, there might be mornings where this live stream kicks off as early as maybe 6 a.m. or 6:30. And at that point, it might just be me for a little bit. I'm going to have things lined up if I ever do a show like that, because there's going to be multiple breaks that need to be taken for morning activities, things that are in real life for both of us, Ben, myself. There might be mornings with Woodman. But, folks, this is our morning brown bean juice, spit and truth. What we can, go over some headlines for the morning. There's always things that break overnight while everyone's sleeping. When do birds sing? We know.
Yeah, there you go.
So it's awesome. Tuesday Live Truth. TPT. That's the
TPT.
Patriot Tech.
No, you guys are awesome, man, for sure.
Has anybody out there ever changed the name of a channel? Any of the mods? David Woodruff, what's going on, brother? Welcome to the show. Amy the Mod, have you changed your channel's name, Amy? If so, get at me. I'm just curious. For the Patriot Tech, we were just curious, maybe we'd change it just to be something cooler. Or more in line with what because it's not really the tech channel anymore. But anyway, let me know, give me an email or whatnot, or, text. So, all right, we're going to shut this one down, guys. I am got some stuff to do here in about the next hour. I got to be heading out. We possibly do a midday show. If anything, I'm all about hitting this channel up pretty heavy with the live. So I meant to record this whole morning, but I will just have to get it in my
Bear
own
with
means.
us this first week for sure. Like Mike was saying, we're going to be getting back in the routine. We're talking. We're we're
and
family
we could do
men. We
morning
got children,
call-ins.
schools, and we can
You
do
guys are on your
morning
way to work.
call-ins and-
You're on your way to work, or you're on some kind of work break. If I go early enough, you're on your way to work. These shows are going to be much friendly for the person that is driving. You don't need to stare at the screen. We could much as go blank, but we'll try to make sure when we read things, you're going to hear it and be able to put the picture together in your head. And we won't be like, so look here, folks, look here. You got to look at this and look at it yourself. We'll do as much as we can to read and get it out in a punctual manner, so you can actually enjoy just driving and listening in. But we also want to record. I want to record and highlight for the Patriot Hour any good segments of the hour and a half, 2 hour, 3 hour block. So we're always going to make sure we at least go the hour there before you're getting your Patriot Hour. But
you're getting your oh yeah.
But if we can go longer, sometimes hour and a half like today, other times could be 2-3 hours if I get it kicked off early enough, and we'll just call it the morning block, and I'm going to be recording, chopping up, getting good footage. If we have some great call-ins, look over to the Patriot Hour for that to hit. So we'll get better at it. We appreciate you all being here, by the way. Appreciate it.
It's awesome, man. You guys are a blessing. And like I said, man, we don't care.
That's why we do it. That's why we do it.
Yeah.
I mean,
if there's 100 people in the room or 1 million people, we're just as enthusiastic to get this information out to you guys. And again, man, God bless you guys. Have a wonderful, blessed day, and keep your Constitution and your Creator on your mind today, and then see how well your day goes. And maybe we'll check back in later on to see how you guys are all doing.
Exactly. Say something nice to somebody at the work office today. Make their day, It's the old adage of first thing in the morning. Oh, your shirt sucks, John. What'd you do? Go through your, and then that person have a really, really bad day. So maybe just say, hey, John, that's a really nice shirt, buddy. I'm just joking. But you guys know, be nice and courteous. The old ways of you're wrong, I'm right, you're evil, I'm good, I'm always 100% perfect, and you're not. Cannot be done anymore. Can't operate that way. All right, again, this is Mike. It was Ben. It was an awesome morning. Thanks for joining us on our morning as we joined you. Oh, John Anon. Man, you look familiar. I haven't seen you in a while, brother. Weren't you? You ain't been around in a while. Amy the Mod. I'm a busy girl in the mornings, but I'll do my best to be here. Well, Amy, thank you. If not, you're here in spirit. We know it. Constitutionalists before LR. David Woodruff. Those are wise words from a wise man. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, Mike and Ben. Much love from England to all. Pink Fox 56. Thank you. Yes, at Jan Anon. John Hook. Yes, we do see you, John Anon. All right. We will see you guys. You have a good day too, Vine Right. All of you have a blessed day. From the Patriot Hour to you.
So it is to the printing press, to the recorder of man's deeds, the keeper of his conscience, the courier of his news, that we look for strength and assistance. debate, without criticism, no administration and no country can succeed, and no republic can survive.
Republican lawmaker makes ominous prediction about the IG Horowitz FISA abuse report. Essentially, it was a coup attempt, he said. Republican Judiciary Committee member Representative Andy Biggs from Arizona predicted Sunday an investigation probing potential abuses of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act will end with tons of indictments. I anticipate that we're going to see some very stark revelations of manipulations of the whole system for political purpose, Biggs said on Fox News. When you see that happen, that's when I think you're going to see reference of referrals for indictments. And I think you're actually going to see some indictments. Biggs claimed the report would uncover essentially a coup attempt against President Donald J. Trump. The investigation led by Justice Department Inspector General Michael Horowitz has concluded now. The inquiry focused on potential FISA abuses related to the government obtaining a surveillance warrant